Okay, so the genre of our film is a romantic tragedy, and generally in a lot of romantic tragedy films, the sound uses quite a lot of classical music, so like pianos and violins to create an emotional response. For example, we looked at Pride and Prejudice.
It's a very poignant, kind of moving film, that it has quite that slow kind of piano playing music. It sets the emotion throughout the film. Because it's very calming and just quite simple music as well. It's not dramatic. It's not like overly like massive orchestra. It's quite often just like a little one person playing piano.
For our film, we used the same kind of type of music to create the emotional impact on the audience. We put in a non-diegetic music piece by Ludovico Einaudi. We found it and it was quite a simple yet emotional piece, but we felt it embodied the whole essence of the film, and it emphasised the emotion of the film, especially at the end when it got more dramatic.
Yeah, it's quite a heartfelt piece. We listened to like several of his tracks, and this particular one we chose because it starts off slow and builds up. The film and the music, they kind of work side by side.
We also used diegetic sound to emphasise the train scene. Train basically represents his death at the end of the film. By increasing the volume, it emphasises that. And this is just something films do. It's just a general convention. If something dramatic is happening, like the sound is increased to create a greater impact on the audience. Another project which influenced us was the Atonement Train, relevant because most of the film is set back in the wartime.
Within the Atonement trailer, it has a typewriter in it. We saw that the typewriter immediately set the scene of that wartime period. We also liked the kind of close-up of it. We wanted to set this in our own film, like have this typewriter thing. That's where we got the idea from.
Also, the typewriter is quite a good method, another method of storytelling, because obviously you can read what the character is feeling.
With our research, we looked at the film The Notebook. This is, though it's an American romantic film, but it's also set within the wartime period. And there is like quite a famous scene within it. That's two of the main characters, and they're being all romantic and dancing together. This like shows that it's old as well, because you don't really see that in modern films.
Romance is shown slightly differently.
We included this in our own film.
We challenged the forms of like the conventions of a romantic tragedy, because usually in romance films the main guy ends up with the girl, but
it's a happy ending.
Yeah. In our film, he dies.
We wanted the audience to be almost surprised about what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because we didn't want it to be an obvious storyline, like two people fall in love and they break up and they get back together and it's all happy and la-da-da. But no, we didn't want that. We wanted something that was dramatic and was going to have an impact right at the end.
Yeah.
Moreover, we challenged it even further, because often within romantic films you'll see it's the male character which will be the one who is cheating, but for our film we've used the female. It's the female that's cheating on the main character, Walter.
We did this because by having the female character do the evil in the relationship, it creates more sympathy towards the main character.
We think that the ancillaries worked well with the film because they show the main character, Walter, in each of the like poster and magazine. So we've got him clearly shown, and also he's wearing that 1940s costume that we have him in for the majority of the film as well. Like all comes together to complement each other, as you can see that's set in the 1940s, and also we've got that continuous image of him looking very distant and like far away expression to show that's a tragedy and to show that's going to be quite an emotional film.
So generally for research we use the internet. We watch a lot of videos online, trailers, short clips. looking at the costuming during the time period, mise-en-scene, props, the set, so what a lot of other films in the time would use to help create verisimilitude. We also looked at some books, and we looked at a newspaper and found an article on men who came back from the war, and how a lot of ex-soldiers committed suicide because of the trauma of the war.
Yeah,
so we found that quite interesting.
They suffered from shell shock, but they just find it difficult to cope when coming back to society and try and act as if nothing had happened in a way. So it just affected them so badly, like the war and like the stuff that they'd seen. So it would make them emotionally drained.
Yes, that was quite an interesting piece of research that we found that helped with our story development. For planning, we used a camera just to take lots of photographs of locations.
We went travelling a bit round to check out different locations to begin with. We tried Wimborne, we tried Swanage, we tried Corfe Castle. We had to walk around for a bit with our camera and take photos of different areas which we thought would be like good camera angle shots before we'd film it. Yeah, framing.
This was helpful because then we knew when it came to the actual filming day, we knew where to go and we could plan out how we were going to film each scene and create the most efficient filming schedule. Also for planning, we used social networks to gather the cast and communicate, plan dates and times.
We found social networks particularly useful because this was like such an easy way for us to communicate with each other nowadays. It's very up-to-date technology, which has proved very useful when planning our film. Within the filming of our production, we just tried out a few different technologies within the camera itself. We use a Canon EO5. This is a lot more advanced camera. It's higher quality compared to what we'd used last year for our AS Media product. It's a lot better as well, a lot clearer quality. We also tried using different camera lenses for different shots as well. So for medium shots or
for the majority
long
of the
shots,
film,
we use 35mm camera lens. We use this for like the tilting and for the dolly shots. But we also tried out the different lens, which was a Tamron lens. This is a 135mm tele macro lens, so it's quite long distance macros. So we did this with the typewriter shots.
So we used tripods for still shots or panning. A lot of the general cycling shots and flashback scenes we used the tripods for. But we also used my car as a dolly for some of the cycling shots to get some more action into the shooting.
Yeah, and just like movement with the camera as well. We also used voice recorder for the narration of the film, where Chris talks over towards the end, like saying part of the letter. For this we used GarageBand to edit and record it.
For the evaluation of the products, we use cameras to film a lot of our evaluations.
We put these onto YouTube as well. We found YouTube a very useful website to use, as this is like an easy way to connect it with our blogs as well. Then about blogging, that is also used to evaluate our product and describes our stages that we've gone through, and is very useful when looking back at our film when we need to see what went wrong and what we've done correct, and like what further research we could have done as well. So it's quite helpful to go back and remember the different stages that we went through. Yeah, we'd use Twitter, like when we had filming days we'd tweet and like say just what we were thinking at the time. So again, we can refer back to this.
So the positives of our audience feedback were there was a lot of focus on the typewriter, which was good. They recognised that we wanted to emphasise this prop and this area of our film, and they commented that the noise helped to emphasise this, so that was well done. And they also commented that the props were well used to create verisimilitude, so that was a positive aspect of the feedback.
Yeah, and also with the clothing, they generally agreed that it was very well thought out and it worked well.
They complimented the style, they thought it was appropriate.
Yeah.
And helped set the time period.
We found this extra comment particularly interesting, for it said something like the bike journey linked all the scenes together. This is almost what we were aiming for.
Yeah. I know a few people said that they found the ending very emotional. Some even said that they were teared up a little bit, so that was nice. A negative though through our feedback was there were a few slip-ups in mise en scene, I suppose. We had a couple modern aspects in it which were noticed, so we need to be more careful in filming.
So overall, we felt that we had improved quite a lot from last year's filming. We felt our camera filming and editing has developed over time.
Yeah, we've
gotten more confident, I think.
I think we've been a lot better with problem solving, like different ways to film things. I think last year we may have struggled sometimes of figuring a way to create the idea, whereas this year it was generally quite close to our visions, I think.
But we feel that overall, like all the obstacles that were created within this 1940s styled film, though it was very difficult to overcome, we felt that we did quite well to create the mise en scene with the different props and costumes.
That was quite challenging, but I think I feel quite positive about the end product.
Bye!
Goodbye!